One.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pinche Gringo Show. As always, we have a fantastic show for you tonight. We're going to talk about voting, the NFL, lottery, tacos, and my favorite, pozole. What a great combination. It's like having a conversation with a pregnant woman and telling her we're going to talk about pickles, ice cream, and sex. That's right. But we have a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it. And let's first talk about that other thing that everybody's talking about besides COVID. Yes, it's the elections. Let's start with Mexico, where we are under a year away from the 2021 midterm elections. And for those of you who don't know too much about Mexican politics, let me give you a quick primer. The Mexican system is a little different than the US system, where congressmen are elected for a 3-year term instead of 2. And for the first time in modern history, they may be re-elected and can serve now for up to 4 consecutive terms. Senators and the president are elected for 1 6-year term, but all leave office at the same time, 2024, and senators can be re-elected again for another term. And that's not scattered like in the US. So you got it? So in the 2018 election, Andrés Manuel López de Obrador was elected in a landslide victory and given pretty much absolute control of the federal government. So the 2021 election will be the first national election that give voters the ability to affirm or reject the president's mandate along with his party's policy agenda. AMLO founded Morena and registered it as a political party in 2014 after he accused his former party of supporting an agenda he did not agree with. There have been 2 other parties that have dominated recently, and unlike the US, there are also a number of small parties that have forged coalitions with the big ones to form alliances. This week, former President Felipe Calderón and a former member of the PAN, not the translation of bread, PAN, I mean, even though everyone loves bread, and that would be a delicious party name, it's not. It's the Partido Acción Nacional. But Calderón, along with his wife, who ran for president in 2018, attempted to register a new party called Mexico Libre in hopes to run candidates in the next election. The National Election Commission was the first in support of this, but at the last minute, 2 commission members switched their votes and the committee rejected their application, citing they did not provide the sufficient requisites to complete the process. This is a really important development because critics of the president have pointed to small actions that the government has taken to push the election in the ruling party's favor. Actually, the president posted this video celebrating and actually gloating the decision from his ranch in Palenque.
Que si Felipe se robó la presidencia de la República, ¿cómo? No va a poder obtener el registro de un partido político. Sí está acostumbrado a triunfar, sin escrúpulos morales.
First, I dream one day I would love to sit around by a tree and just talk about random things on a YouTube channel. That would be awesome, right? But he looks like the Godfather, right? You remember, he's pissed at Calderon because he accused him of stealing the election from him in 2006. Like, you screw me, I screw you. I'm the Don. What are you going to do now? I'm the president, right? And who knows? Maybe Calderon didn't use a number 2 pencil or blue ink instead of black ink when filling out his application. I mean, maybe he didn't sign all the documents correctly. God knows how many times my documents have been rejected because Alfredo at the bank didn't like my signature. Or maybe this is another example of the party in power trying to tweak the election again in their favor. The other parties did it in the past, and maybe this is revenge. So we need to stay tuned on this. But let's revisit a story that we've been talking about a lot on this show, the sale of the presidential aircraft. When President Andrés Manuel López Obrador took office in 2018, he took the next steps on a campaign promise to sell the brand new presidential aircraft that his predecessor, Enrique Peña Nieto, purchased during his term, citing wasteful spending in his pledge to take the money from the hands of the rich and distribute to the poor. He put the plane on the market with a hefty price tag of $220 million. And of course, he did not get a buyer. Then the president decided to raffle the plane by selling tickets, or what they call cachitos. It's such a sexy name, no? Cachitos. Hey, you have some cachitos? Those cachitos had been selling for 500 pesos each, which is the equivalent of 23 US dollars. And of course, if things keep going the way they are right now, probably $1 in the year 2028. When President Cuauhtemoc Blanco announces a new airport in the Condesa neighborhood, a train from Puerto Escondido to Acapulco, and with the help of Cultural Secretary Eugenio Derbez to rent out the National Palace as an Airbnb. Trust me, it can happen, Mexico. No American thought a beauty pageant and casino owner named Donald Trump would be elected. But this week, the government announced that they have sold over 3.8 million tickets. But someone in the government had a really great idea. I guess to boost morale for the employees of more than 950 COVID hospitals in the country, the government announced this week that it would issue 1,000 tickets to each hospital. If the hospital wins, the sale of the plane would be distributed to all people in the hospital equally. Because I'm sure COVID workers in hospitals want nothing more than to raise their hopes for success and then having them crash down in front of them because they didn't get their number announced. But see, these are some of the things plaguing the Mexican government, while the American government has been in a constant, oh my God, I don't believe he just said that, or I can't believe this just happened mode. The 2020 election is just 54 days away. And although Joe Biden maintains a strong lead in the national polls, due to the electoral college system, the polls are tightening in battleground states such as Michigan and Florida, where this week a new NBC Marist poll showed Donald Trump and Joe Biden in a dead heat at 48% each, with very few undecided voters left. People have really decided already who they're going to vote for. Also, the candidates are statistically tied among Latino voters, because Florida is populated with many Americans of Cuban descent who affiliate with the Republican Party, especially after the famous raid by federal officers during the Clinton administration in June of 2000 that sent Cuban Elian Gonzalez back to his home country, angering many, and some argue that the Cubans were instrumental in getting George W. Bush elected president. Remember, in the US political system, the popular vote doesn't matter. It's the Electoral College. And if this doesn't make sense, I encourage you to view a past show where this complicated and antiquated system was explained. But because of the tightening of the polls, every single vote counts. And which is why I think that Mexico and the estimated 1 million eligible US voters that live here can swing the election in anyone's favor. Let's take a look at Michigan, for example, where Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton by a little more than 10,000 votes. Now, Michigan's vote represented 3.5% of the total national vote. This is significant because if we use the same rough statistics to apply to the total voting population in Mexico, this would represent 35,000 voters. Now, we can assume that more voters here in Mexico are Democrats than Republicans. And if all eligible voters here in Mexico submitted their ballot, Hillary Clinton would probably be president right now. This logic can also be applied to Pennsylvania, Wisconsin as well, where Trump won by less than 1% of the vote, and in New Hampshire, where Clinton won by a similar margin. We have no idea how close it will be. So whichever party you support, your vote matters. It doesn't matter if you live in lovely Lake Chapala outside of Guadalajara or Kalamazoo, Michigan. By the way, Kalamazoo, coolest name in Michigan, but ironically, there's no zoo in Kalamazoo. The Miham Park Zoo of Kalamazoo closed in 1974. So if you're living in Mexico and you have not registered to vote, please, you still have time to do so. It may take you a little bit of work, but it's okay. You can miss taking a look at Johnny's abs on Instagram or a video of this cat playing the piano. Yes, Americans living in Mexico, you have time. Get this done. Democracies only exist because the people participate in them. If you should have a say in who your leaders are, who will ultimately decide if we go to war, or in some cases, how you live your life. And if you think, well, I'm in Mexico, it doesn't matter. It absolutely does. What happens in the United States always affects Mexico with trade, jobs, immigration, and so many other things. So if you're like, okay, Dan, I'm convinced, I want to vote, let's go to Daniel Stein, part of Democrats Abroad, to discuss, regardless of your party affiliation, doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, we're going to talk about how you can get a ballot and vote in November. Thanks for joining the show, Daniel. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, man.
You're my tocayo, right? You're the guy with the same name. It's great. I love the name Daniel. We should all like run the world together because Daniels will dominate and make good decisions. Daniel, tell me about this. So people still have time to vote. How long do they have? And let's walk through the process of what people need to do if they're ready to vote right now.
So if people are ready to vote right now, they should be heading to votefromabroad.org. And that's the website that is established for all voters that live abroad anywhere in the world. We are able to vote from there. We have to simply register there and then also request our ballots there. And it's a pretty simple process. You request your ballot, and then you quickly follow up with your local election office, which you will be informed exactly as to where that is and how to contact them upon completing your ballot application.
So do people still have time left? Because I know each state has different deadlines. So is there like the first deadline's coming up? What's the situation here?
So you will begin, if you do it right now today, you begin receiving your ballot by September 19th. According to federal law, we all Americans, U.S. citizens living abroad, have the ability to receive their ballot via email, and that makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker for us to receive our ballots. There are different states that require a ballot to be maybe mailed back, faxed back, or emailed back. Depending on your state, the way you return it may differ, but many states actually allow fax and email, which is the way that is quickest and most reliable to return your ballot if you're in a state that allows that.
Absolutely. And so you all can see down on the bottom of the screen, these are comments that we're putting in YouTube and in Facebook. All of these different links that you can click on. I know you've been working on this with Democrats abroad here in Mexico, and you guys have an incredible effort. Tell us more about this effort, and also what are people saying that is giving them reluctance to go through this process?
Well, the process has kind of always been a little bit, I think, user perhaps unfriendly. However, this website, votefromabroad.org, really does streamline everything. I've used it myself. That's how I got my ballot from Illinois. I will be looking forward to filling it out on September 19th when I receive it via email. And I'll be returning it via mail because that's the rules or the laws in Illinois. But my way of returning it via mail will be through the assistance of Democrats Abroad, which is organizing a number of drop-off points throughout the city where we're going to be working with other groups, the American Benevolent Society among them, to make sure that people can best return their ballots, especially if you are in a place where your ballot has to be returned by postal mail.
Absolutely. And I'm a Florida voter, and it's funny because I vote in every election is because it's very easy. I fill out my ballot and then I use a fax software online because the only way for you to bring your ballot back is to fax it. And I don't know, I haven't had a fax machine since 1993. I don't know about you, Daniel. Maybe you're still faxing your bills or something, but that's what you can do. Now, the other thing I heard is that you can do something with the embassy, right? You can drop off a ballot or a registration. Have you heard about this?
Yes, you can. I actually have a friend today who went and did it. She texted me a selfie right in front of the embassy right after she dropped it off, and she's a Texas voter.
That's great. And I know that there is something announced in the Democrats here in Mexico City. So if you're in Mexico City, you can drop up your ballot. Daniel, anything last to say to anybody who is interested in voter to get them to make sure that they're voting?
Just to make sure that you go to votefromabroad.org, you register to vote. Once you do that, you're registered, and then you just request your ballot every year, every election. Voting is a habit. The more you do it, the more you convince people to do it, the more we do it all, and the more likely we are to save, have, and continue our democracy.
Great. Thank you so much, Daniel Stein from Democrats Abroad. Appreciate your help. And hopefully all of you can go out and vote. It's so important. That's what a democracy is, for us to be able to exercise our right and our voice. Any side of the aisle that you're on, if you're a Republican or Democrat here in Mexico, don't be lazy. Make sure you do that. Next week will mark the 210th anniversary of Mexico's independence from Spain. The Grito, the annual tradition where the president yells for revolutionaries had been dead for hundreds of years to live forever, even though their bones are right down the street from me. I don't get it. But it traditionally starts at 11 p.m. on the 15th of September and lasts way into the 16th. There are a lot of other traditions, such as eating pozole. the famous game that everyone plays during the festivities called Loteria. So let's check on that. Let's go to Chilangoland with Javier Negrete.
Welcome everyone, this time I want to share with you the rules of a Mexican board game.
Meow.
Well, no Sombra, I don't think that being inside for all these months is affecting me, okay? I'm just trying to have fun with you. So the name of this board game is the Loteria. Well, it is not the Loteria, it's la Loteria. So, to start, each one of you will have one of these big boards with 16 images that coincides with some of the cards that I have right here. And this is the best part, I have to name it in a super Mexican double tempo, so you have to be really quick.
Meow.
Well, no, it's not like bingo.
Meow again.
Why? Because we have a lot of Mexican characters on the cards, like La Chalupa, o El Caso, o La Rosa, o La Bandera.
Bark.
And the winner will be the first of you that fill all your board. And right after your Loteria! But if you don't yell, you can win, okay? El Corazón, La Campana, La Rosa, El Catrí, El Melón, El Borracho, El Barril, El Venado, La Muerte, La Bandera.
Well, you made it. You just need to say Loteria.
You mean meow?
You just need to say Loteria.
Meow.
Loteria?
Man, cats and dogs are getting smarter. I don't even know how you had the cat and the dog in the same place at the same time. It's been really hard. That's incredible. Thank you so much, Javier, for your report.